Hey guys, we are back. Today is Wednesday, May 15th, 2019. Super excited to have Robert Kenon
I'm
on the
excited to be
show. He is dressed to the nines. I wish you guys could see it. The leopard shirt has some pants that have a leopard stripe in them, and then the shoes are rocking it. Hey Kevin. So let us know you can hear us and see us. It's super important. Hey Maggie, we miss you already. Miss you in the wine room. Thank you for being patient, my friend. We had a couple of quick little things we were doing and working on, but we wanted to get... Oh, Matey's on. Matey just had a great meeting with your brother. He's amazing. Mike Fisher's running for Osceola County Sheriff, and he's here today. Jane Graham, what's going on? So we got hearts and love. We got love, Robert. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm excited to have you. All right, so... they all like to know origin story. They want to know a little bit about you. And I've seen a couple of your shows, a little bit of your videos, and I say shows, but you haven't told us anything about Robert. So we want to know a lot about Robert. So share away, my friend.
Well, I'm an agent at the Property Pros Real Estate. Go Property Pros! Woo!
Go Property Pros!
Noah Pros. So I'm an agent there currently. I've been an agent for about 5 years, but I will give you kind of like the backstory. So real estate's kind of, I say in my blood, but nobody in my family did it. I just knew that this was meant for me. So since a very, very young age, I think I was 8 years old when I first wanted to be an agent.
How is that possible? Like, why was somebody in your life, like, I don't know. I'm amazed at people at 8 who would know about real estate.
No, my parents built their first house when I was 8, and I was just infatuated with the process, and I'd always watched all the House Hunters and the landscape design. I mean, every show you can think of on HGTV, I could probably read you the script. So I was a big time nerd when it came to real estate, and I knew that I wanted to do this. I mean, even through high school, they'd ask what college I wanted to go to, and I'd say IFREC, because that was the real estate school that was locally. I never wanted to go
So you really did have it in your blood.
Yes, this has been for me. I actually, believe it or not, dropped out of high school, which I don't recommend. Don't listen to me. But I did drop out of high school at 15 to study real estate, and I got my diploma, but I got it a little bit early, obviously, about 2.5 years early, and I did an internship with a couple real estate companies, trying to learn the business and kind of learn what it takes to survive in this business, so that when I got my license at 18, I wasn't like a fish out of water. You know what I mean?
I'm amazed at anybody who has that that ability to know that's what they want to do at such an early age. Yeah. I mean, I still am not sure what I want to do. Freedom, don't take that personally, but I feel like there's so much out there, and it would have been very difficult for me to figure that out at an early age.
I mean, of course I had questions. I'm like, well, maybe I'll be a lawyer, maybe I'll be this, but I knew in my heart that this was really meant for me, that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to help people. And I think I've done a pretty good job.
And so you get this, that's your dream. So we don't have to go through dreams anymore, because you have found your dream. You're living your dream. What was it like when you get your license, right? So that's kind of, in my opinion, that's the easiest part of the finality of the career, right?
Yeah.
It seems like it's crazy when you're trying to study for it, but it's really the easiest part. Yeah. And then you get out, right? And then you're like, now what do I do? Yeah. Did you find yourself a brokerage that worked for you? Did you have to go through a few? How did that work?
I did some jumping around. I did an internship. I ended an internship actually at a brokerage that I thought I was going to broker with when I got my license, but it just worked out going to a different brokerage for different reasons, and I felt like that was a better fit for me, being a brand new agent. And it worked for about a year, and then I did a little bit of bouncing. I went to another agency, a big name brokerage, for about a year. And then I left, and I found my home at the Property Pros. So
you really haven't, I mean, that seems like it's a lot, but it's really not. You did not jump around that much.
No, I did 3 before I found my home.
But you had to find it, right? So
yeah.
What was it about, what were you missing that you finally found at your current brokerage? And I'm a big fan of the Property Pros. I love Anthony and Wendy and that whole group. But what was it that you finally found that made it home for you?
So for me, everywhere that you go, they're going to tell you that you're part of the family and we care about you, and everywhere is going to tell you that, and they do care about those top 5 agents typically, right? When you're at a big name brokerage, when there's 300 agents, they don't even know your name. You're just another Robert, you're another Ted, you're another Wendy, you're another Anthony. I mean, you're not somebody that they know that they want to talk to. And for me, once I joined the Property Pros, and I felt like I was a family, essentially. I mean, everybody knows everybody. We all take care of each other. We all watch our backs. And we all are dedicated to the same thing, which is helping people and making money at the same time. And having a brokerage that really aligns with your goals and your visions and your morals kind of is something that I was looking for, and I found it.
So talk about, because I think first of all, it's very hard to find that. Like, it took me a while. On the Freedom side, I've been a loan officer after being an insurance agent insurance agency owner, and a title company owner for years. I had to find the right mortgage company. I almost gave up because it just wasn't working for me. It wasn't the right match for me.
Yeah.
I'm a lot, which I have a sense you are too, which is fine. I can own that. But I feel like you have to know what you want and where you're at, and you have to figure out, all right, these are the non-negotiables, which we're going to get into negotiations in a minute. But settling is kind of a process, right? So you settle. We love you, matey. Settling is kind of a process. You kind of have to figure out where you're at. So you go somewhere that might not have everything. Jane says he's a lot. That's why we love him. Hello.
Hey, Jane. Hey, Des.
So you want to find that place where it really does feel like home.
Yeah.
And I had to do the same thing with Freedom. I almost got out of the industry. I was going to go back to consulting, and then you find the right group,
and it works.
And it's magic.
Yeah.
It's a miracle. It's so amazing. So anybody who's out there struggling with that, I encourage you to reach out to figure out. Anthony Billeteri is great, but there's so many, all of you, there's good places for you that match.
Anthony's great, guys.
Anthony's amazing, and Wendy is too. So, but I think it's so important that you acknowledge that and that you figure out, all right, this is what my non-negotiable is. So the title of the show, which we want to bless Wendy Stewart for, because I wasn't sure how to title the show. She's like, he is the best negotiator in town, Ted. He doesn't take... And you know what? I think people are afraid of that word negotiation. I think they're afraid it sounds like it's negative. It sounds like there's so many things that go along with it. You're bullying. You're pushing somebody. And negotiations, that's not what that's about. So talk about how you integrate that into your business.
So for me, I feel like every deal is negotiable. There's a negotiation room on everything. I don't care if there's multiple offers because there's negotiation room. You know what I mean? If not, you would just take the first one that matched your price, right?
Right.
So for me, negotiating is just an essential part of the business, I feel like, and you have to really build rapport and get common goals for both the buyer and the seller. You know what I mean? The buyer's not going to get everything they want. The seller's not going to get everything they want. It's about finding the common ground and finding what's important between both of them, and making sure that they're both getting the bulk of what they want out of it, essentially. That's what I see it as.
Did you learn this? Was this something that you learned as you went? Did you always have I have a feeling you always had negotiation skills. That's my guess.
I was always pretty good at debating and negotiating and arguing.
I have no doubt in my mind at all.
But I will say I did learn along the way. I mean, this career, there's never a day that you're not going to learn something, is what I like to believe. I feel like every day something's changing. Every day you have the opportunity to learn something, especially with what we do. And I will definitely say, I mean, along the years, I did learn different strategies for negotiation and what the importance of negotiating is for both sides. You know what I mean? There was one agent in particular that I did a deal with, and something that stood out to me was it was my listing, and she called me before she even wrote an offer and said, hey, I just want to know what's important to the seller. What is it that the seller's ultimate goal is? Is it the closing date that's the most important? Is it the price? What is it that's most important? And that spoke volumes to me. I mean, we had 4 different offers, but she was the only one that called and was concerned about what the seller's goals were. So I definitely took that. I mean, that's a big part of it.
Why is that so hard for people to incorporate?
I think a lot of people are afraid. They're afraid that asking is going to piss somebody off, or that you're going to seem desperate, or no. There's always a way to negotiate without seeming desperate, without seeming overly motivated, so to speak, right? There's always room for negotiation.
I love that. Don't seem like you're interested. Well, I'm interested. Like, I think that is the craziest thing to say to people, but you're right. I feel like if you're honest, authentic, we talk about this all the time, you want to tell people what you want.
Absolutely.
How else are they going to know? They can't read your mind.
Yep.
And if something that you think might be a big deal that's important to you is probably nothing to them, or it might not even be that way. So for an agent, it doesn't matter what business you're in. Let's talk real estate. If you're an agent and you're not doing that for your clients, your borrowers, your sellers, you're not having that open conversation, I believe you're doing them a disservice.
Yeah,
you have to find out what yes, you want to find out what they want.
Absolutely.
How do you know what they want unless you ask?
Yeah.
And so talk about what you do with because I know in our industry, and this is for all industries universal, you get a client, you're like, all right, I got somebody, here we go. I want to help them. And then that is a client that you're pulling teeth trying to figure out what it is that is important to them. Remember, you think you know what's important to them, but you don't always know what's important to them. And then you have to ask. And then sometimes they don't want to respond. Well, I just want to sell the house. Or I just want to get my next deal. Or I really want to sell a whole bunch of product. Well, that doesn't tell you anything as their advocate, which is basically what you are. So what do you do with your clients? What do you say to them? Is there like a dialogue that you have with them in order to get that information?
So I wouldn't say there's anything in particular. Let's say I'm on the selling side and I want to negotiate. We always have interest, period. You put a house on the market, you're not going to get you're not going to have zero interest. You're going to have somebody that's interested. So make sure that when you're speaking to people that may be interested, voice that. Hey, we do have interest in the property. Now, saying I have interest in the property isn't saying I have 6 offers on the property.
Correct.
It's saying I have interest in the property, right? It's a play on words. So that, in my mind as a buyer's agent, is like, okay, there's somebody that's also interested in this property. We might not have the biggest shop if I was the listing agent, right? And like I said, voice what they want out of it. What does your buyer want? What is it that your buyer's hang up is about paying full price? You know what I mean? Something that I do on the buying side is I always ask for more than what we want. If my buyers want $2,000 in closing, we're going to ask for $4,000 in closing. If my buyers want $4,000 but they don't really need a home warranty, I'm going to ask for a home warranty, because the more I ask for up front, if that listing agent takes it off, they feel like that's a win to them, in my opinion, right?
Back to negotiation, guys. That's an art. It really is.
If I ask you for $8,000 towards closing, a home warranty, a pre-occupancy addendum, and you agree to just the $8,000 in closing, my client won.
You're still winning.
Exactly.
And I think, but what's great about that is on the other side, that sounds like that's like you're playing back and forth. Well, you are. That's what negotiation is. So you are betting on the fact that the things you're asking for aren't as critical and negative on the other side as you might think they are. I mean, I think that when you ask for less, you get less. So you want to ask for more. That doesn't make you a bad person, a bad realtor, a bad business owner. What it does is you're being your client's best advocate.
Absolutely.
And so you ask for I always say this, you ask for the moon, and then you wait and see what comes in. And then you begin to deal with the negotiables.
Yeah.
Then if they come back and go, we're not doing any of that, Robert. We hate all of it, and we're just going to give you this, and this. You have then you have a starting place, right? This is where the negotiations go. Now I'm like, all right, and I'll let you share with that. But I feel like it's so important for people to stop beating yourself up for being your client's best advocate.
Absolutely.
You want to ask for the world, ask for it. What's the worst they can say? No? They can't say no if you don't ask them.
And that's exactly what I tell all of my clients. We're going to ask for the moon, and if we get a couple stars, we're going to be satisfied with a couple stars. You know what I mean? But at least we're going to ask for the moon. I feel like there are a lot of agents out there that are afraid to negotiate, period. Oh, they have 5 showings on the property, so we need to go in at full price or above asking.
That's operating from fear, not abundance,
Absolutely.
Guys. I just want to reiterate, you have to stop. If you are it doesn't matter. Again, I love to talk the universal talk here. Whatever business you're in, stop operating from the fear base, because that's somebody who's like, "Oh, I'm just going to lose the deal if I don't do exactly what they want."
Yeah.
Well, if exactly what they want isn't exactly what you want or your client wants, you're not doing anybody any good.
Absolutely.
My opinion.
Absolutely.
All right, so you go in there, and so you ask for $10 million and a couple of massages. I don't know what's going on in your mind as far as negotiating, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they come back, and then it's completely different than you wanted.
Absolutely.
What are the steps? How do you work with people? Because I think people are afraid then. They feel like that's a confrontation at that point.
And sometimes it can be. When you're negotiating, that's when everybody is the
Like
meanest.
how his voice went quiet.
Right.
This is a good negotiator because you want to go quiet. You don't want to be yelling.
Yeah. When it doesn't go your way, lost my train of thought there. Hold on. Sorry. When it doesn't go your way, it is going to be a little bit frustrating. You know what I mean? You're going to feel like, wow, I'm not going to get this from my client. You're going to get it. Keep calm. So, for instance, a deal that I recently did, I knew my clients needed $5,000 in closing. That was non-negotiable. That was the minimum that they would take. The listing agent tells me we're not going to give anything in closing. You can ask for $5,000. We might give you $1,500. Okay, so I'm going to ask for $8,000, and I'm going to ask for a home warranty, and I'm going to ask for an expedited closing, and I'm going to ask that your sellers move out prior to closing. I'm going to ask for the world.
Why? Because your client deserves the best advocate, which is what you're being.
Because I could have easily said, okay, well, we'll put $1,500 on the contract. You need to come up with, $3,500. That's not how I operate. I operate in the best interest of my client at all times. So I got my $5,000 in closing because he said, well, we are insulted by this offer. You're not insulted enough not to talk to me anymore because you're calling me. So that obviously means you're open to negotiate as well. I got my $5,000. That's the moral of the story.
Nice.
Because you always, like I said, over-ask. Ask for the moon, take a couple stars. That's something that I do on every single negotiation that I work on.
How'd you learn that? Did you learn that, I mean, obviously, since you wanted to be a realtor at 8 years old.
Well,
how did you learn that? Did you grow up in a household where a negotiation was the name of the game? Or is that just something innate in you that you just have it as a natural gift?
That's just something to me. I like to shop a lot, and sometimes you got to negotiate when you shop for yourself.
I can't even imagine you shopping. Oh, my God.
But
That's
you always
awesome,
want to
man.
act in your best interest. If you're not comfortable doing it, don't do it. And that's exactly what I tell my clients. If this is our final offer, that's our final offer. I don't care if they come back and ask for, if they're $500 off. If that's your final offer, stick to your guns. Get what you want out of it. If it doesn't benefit you, you don't want to do it. Point blank.
I agree. I think that people are so afraid to ask for what they want, that they're willing to sacrifice things that actually are important to you. So I don't know why you wouldn't speak up. We'll talk about real estate for a minute. This is the most biggest sale purchase of your life, one of them.
Yeah.
Why would you not get what you want? And if you don't get exactly what you want, are these things you can live with? Because here's the last thing Robert wants. He doesn't want you having buyer's remorse, and then all over town you're going, Robert didn't negotiate enough for me. He didn't do the right for me. He didn't go to bat for me. He wasn't my advocate. And that's why you want to have somebody who's like, okay, balls to the wall. Here it is. This is what we're going to offer. This is what we're going to do. Now you tell me, Mr. or Mrs. Client, is this something you're willing to live with? And it doesn't just have to be live with. I want that to minimizing it. I want you to be good with it. I want you to feel like you can do it and happy with it. Do you want your wish list? Heck yeah. I want to have a 32-inch waist again and drink like a fish, which I do, and not gain any weight. But that's my wish list. Am I happy with the fact that I'm healthy? Thank God. Yes.
Yeah.
And so you have to figure that out when you're negotiating.
Even today, for instance, I had a closing scheduled for this morning, and recently, during our final walkthrough, we found a roof leak that was not present previously. And the owner refused to, just not downright, I'm not paying anything. Then it became, okay, I'll pay $1,000. Then it became, okay, maybe I'll pay $2,000. And come to the closing today, about 17 minutes before closing, we finally got her to agree to what my clients wanted. They wanted $4,500, and I got it, because you have to know that negotiation is doable. If they think they're selling their house today and you need money, they're probably going to give it to you because they need to sell their house.
But there's certain non-negotiables too,
oh,
right?
Absolutely.
So there's certain things, and that's okay. That's what I want to encourage people too. It's okay to have a non-negotiable. It's okay to go in, not that Robert wants to deal with non-negotiables all the time, right? So we know that type of client, but you want somebody who knows what they want. And if that's their thing, if this is the most important thing, this is the thing I have to have in order for this transaction to go well, you want to identify that. And then why waste your time? There are so many people out there that are advocates that do business, and they're dealing with clients, and then the client keeps coming back with things. And I'm like, why didn't you just establish the non-negotiable up front?
Beginning.
Just do it up front. So how do you have that conversation with people? Because I think because people are fear-based and they don't like, in their minds, this is a confrontation. How do you set it up when you're having a one-on-one with your client?
If you are not meeting with your client in the beginning of the process and getting their must-have list, not just bedrooms and bathrooms, I'm talking about must-have closing, must-have a home warranty, their must-haves, things that they need for their own peace of mind in order to purchase that home and proceed with the biggest investment in their entire life. If you're not having that conversation up front, if you're not establishing that in the beginning, you're doing it wrong, in my opinion.
I agree.
You need to sit down with your client. I sit down with every single one of my buyers in the beginning before we look at a single home, before I send them a single home, and I find out what is it that you're going to need. Are you going to need closing costs? Are you going to need a home warranty in order to feel comfortable in a resale home? You know what I mean? Certain things like that are things that they're going to need. It doesn't matter if it's house A, B, C, or Z. It really doesn't matter to them. It's something that they must have. And if you don't know that in the beginning, you're wasting your time showing them any property.
Well, how are you going to be their best advocate if you don't know what their non-negotiables are? What's important to them? And I think people are so afraid because of our industry in general. People are afraid to lose a customer.
Absolutely.
Listen, guys, you are losing so much more if you don't ask them the right questions in the beginning. Otherwise, how are you supposed to do the deal the way that they want it? Because that word of mouth afterward, when it's not so good, you can't pay enough money to make it go away.
That word of mouth is worth more than any commission check you'd ever get.
You have to negotiate up front. And negotiating with your clients is not a bad thing. You've got to figure out what it is. What if it's not a right match? I tell this to people all the time, and you can speak to it. There are certain people that are not a good match for me or for you or for, as much as I want them to be, all that's going to do is create agita. That's an old New York Yiddish term. That's going to create a nightmare, a problem. That is where you're going to get into this constant conflict thing.
Down the line, yeah.
And if you don't establish what the boundaries are up front, that's what you're going to be dealing with on a regular basis. So how do you do that? Have you ever had to fire a client, or do you ever have to not take a client?
I have. So I've recently fired 2 clients this year, which is unheard of for me. Typically, I'm let me get every dollar I can get. But it's been a learning process. As I've told you, every single day in this business is going to be something that you learn, right? And over the last year, I've learned that not every client is meant to buy a home from me. Period. Not every
I love that.
Meant to
Say
sell
it again,
their
because
home
I
with
think people don't get it. Just because they come to you doesn't mean that's going to be a good fit for you. Because here's what Robert has a choice of, and we all do. Do you want to spend an inordinate amount of time dealing with I call them problem children, that you can't fix because they won't establish boundaries, they don't like to talk to you, they're not going to give you their negotiables, they're not going to give you their non-negotiables, anything like that? Or do you want to focus on the other 2 or 3 people that you're giving up in order to deal with the person that you know you're not going to be able to deal with? And I feel like that's where a lot of people are.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a client that I established what the must-haves were in the beginning, as I do with every single one of my clients. What do you need? Okay, you need this amount to walk away. Got it. I'm going to get you that amount. Do you need anything else? Nope. I don't care about anything. I need the money. Great. Within 6 hours, I brought her an offer that gave her the money, and she still did not want to give it up. Oh, well, I need my washer. All right, your washer's broken, it's not connected. Yeah, but I'm going to fix it one day. Okay, that wasn't on your must-have list. And
Nice.
to throw something away that gives you everything that was on your must-have list, to throw it away, to say, no, I don't want that offer, over something that wasn't on your must-have list, it's not how I operate.
What are you going to do with that? This is the problem. He'll never make her happy.
Absolutely.
Never, ever. And that's the other thing I want to encourage you. If you know in advance and you set the boundaries like Robert's talking about, and they're still not happy time and time again, guess what? Never going to be happy. It's time
Wash
to
your
move
hands.
on.
Yeah.
There are plenty of people out there that want to take care of those kinds of people. That's not a me. And I guarantee you it's not a Robert.
It is not.
And that's better for you to establish that and stop being tied to that, stop being a prisoner to that kind of mentality and that thought process, that just because it sounds like a good deal doesn't always mean it's a good relationship for you guys.
And I'd like to say, if you don't take your own personal interest out of it, yeah, the commission's great, right? It's awesome to work for a couple weeks on a deal and make thousands and thousands of dollars. That's great. However, if you're in this strictly for the money, in my opinion, you're not going to be successful.
Amen
You
to
have to
that.
be in this to better serve the needs of your client. You have to be in this for your client. You have to be in it to make sure that they're getting what they want out of each individual deal. And then your part comes afterwards. Guess what? If you do a good job on them, that one check isn't going to matter. I've had a deal where I had to give up an entire commission check in order to just get an extension to save the deal. I didn't give away, 10 grand. No, I definitely didn't give away 10 grand. I gave away, $1,500 or something. But sometimes you have to give a little to get a lot,
Agreed.
right? To get something down the line, to make that lasting impression on your client, sometimes you got to give a little to get their must-haves out of it and to get return business.
Listen, guys, the return business is also critical. These people who you are helping and you're setting boundaries and you're actually being a real, true advocate and professional with, they have loud mouths. So do the people that you're not being able to help. So do you want to spend time with the people you're not being able to help, who are just as loud and just as influential as the people who you can help? I want to have the positive. I want to determine up front, this is going to work for me or it's not going to work for me. And if it's not going to work for me, it is so much better for you as a professional to let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Give it
Stop investing all of your energy and time in the things that you cannot fix, because you cannot fix those people. And then those people, guess what? No matter how amazing you are, you could have cut them a check for the entire mortgage, and they would still figure out a way to blame you for something that isn't good in the transaction.
Absolutely.
And it's not just real estate, it's your business in general. I want you guys to really think about that, because I see a lot of realtors, I see a lot of business owners who are just chasing the wrong people. Stop chasing the wrong people.
Yeah.
It's not good for anybody. It's certainly not good for you, and it's not good for them or your future business. All right, so we're going to share all of Robert's contact information, how you can reach out to him. I mean, don't you want to learn a little bit more about the art of negotiation? Come on, you can see what he's saying is so true. And if it's ringing true with you, I hope you comment later. I hope you reach out to Robert. Because honestly, this is a lesson that we should all learn as we're doing our businesses. We should all be more proactive, set boundaries, set the negotiations immediately up front.
And value yourself. A lot of
I
people
love that.
forget to value yourself. You're helping these people make the biggest decision in their entire lives. So you
Agreed.
need to value yourselves. Now, I know I said give away a commission if you got to, but don't give everyone away, okay?
No, you identify those and you figure them out. But if you
Absolutely.
have the value, you're right. You value yourself, and that is where you're going from on each transaction, on each relationship, then you know what your boundaries are. You're setting your boundaries.
Up front.
All right, any parting words of wisdom for them? Anything you want to share before we head out?
No, I'll tell you guys my biggest quote in life. I mean, Floridians will understand it. If you are striving to do anything in life, right, there's a cheap version, there's a generic, right, and then there's the name brand, okay? In this life, I will always strive to be the Publix, because there's tons of Walmarts out there, right? There's a Walmart on every single corner. I'd rather have people pay for my quality than have some crap served to them on a platter. So I take that personally, and I tell everyone at my brokerage to do the same thing. Make sure that you are offering something of quality in life, and your return will be tenfold. So,
Amen to that. Listen, you want to be your own person.
Yeah.
You also want to make sure that you've got the quality that you can live with, because trust me, they can smell it a mile away if you're not giving them the quality, and they can also feel it if you're not being authentic. I'm telling you guys need to value authenticity and the reality of things up front, whether it gets you a deal or doesn't. You're going to be very happy it didn't get you the deal when you were fake. Trust me. All right, you've been a joy to have on the show.
Thank you for having
Love
me.
me some Robert Kenon. He's the best, the Property Pros. Reach out to him. We're going to share all of his contact information after the show. We will. I love it. All right, he came all the way from, where do you all live, Wendy? Like St. Cloud. I don't know where we're at.
It's not that far.
I have my passport.
After 4 p.m.
I got it.
It's kind of far.
It's very far. All right, appreciate you, brother.
All right.
Love you guys. We'll see you back soon.
Bye.